Welcome to Lesson 2. Please take time to review the task, conditions, and standards for this training series. In this session, I practice mobilizing to a remote area, rigging up with grabbed bug-out bag and gear, move to a safe location, and then review doctrine from the Gator Family Emergency Response Planning and Survival Tactical SOP1. With all the recent population dispersing events that have occurred so far in 2025 with hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, man-made, and natural disasters, it is easy to see why it's important to be ready to bug out. Major disasters often lead to population dispersal events, where people are forced to evacuate due to environmental hazards, infrastructure collapse, or resource shortages. Being prepared to bug out ensures survival and adaptability in uncertain situations. Key reasons include rapid response. Disasters can escalate quickly, leaving little time for preparation. Supply chain disruptions. Food, water, and medical supplies may become scarce. Infrastructure collapse. Roads, communication networks, and utilities may fail. Security risks. Civil unrest and crime can increase in disaster-stricken areas. Health hazards, exposure to contaminated water, air pollution, and disease outbreaks. Having a bug-out plan, including emergency supplies, evacuation routes, and communication strategies, can make the difference between survival and chaos. Would you like tips on assembling a bug-out bag or planning an evacuation route? We'll start now with some advice on methods to remove and store your rucksack using a field-expedient rope and D-ring setup.
One of the many multi-purpose reasons I carried is rope, which they, taught us to rig so when we go into helicopter we could tie it down. If I don't want to, if I got bad knees or if it's wet and I'm wimpy and I don't want to get my stuff too dirty, because then when you get back from your hike, then you're going to have to, your cleanup's going to be even more, which then creates a negative scenario for your family because they don't want to have to go through all that work. All right, so this thing could just quickly, go around. I secure it down with my D-strap. Then I can unhook my my ruck, and then I can just let it hang. There we have a cord. Wanted to demonstrate this piece of rope, 6 foot long, with your D-rings for securing, end line bowline on this end, and down this piece you can use multi-purpose to throw around the log, lash onto something, pull it. I keep these, to be able to have a slip knot and pull. You can unhook this. You can secure this around your waist if you needed to tie into something, or you could secure it around the tree to hang your multi-purposes, just keep it.
Now here's an ad hoc review of the TACSOP to help in your preparation. If you're interested, please see the publishing service at lulu.com. The following video is a no-frills, unrehearsed discussion. I apologize as my voice cords are damaged, and it is difficult to speak clearly. But I felt critical to get the word out on time as is, rather than a perfect product late.
This is Gator FERPS TACSOP1. And within Gator FERPS TACSOP2, we have corresponding information I thought I developed here, which is optimal. That's information that you need to have carried with you. TACSOP2 has, those section more extended information on water and in other subjects. So for example, here you have food, sustainment, ropes, first aid. Let's take that for example. Page 517. Oh, first aid, I just got to go to the cross. Just go to the cross. Everything's formatted, and I combined, for example, the Army's 9-line medevac, and I modified it to a better more situated towards civilian, because you're not going to be worrying about, enemies, but you need to concentrate on the airway, the breathing, circulation, disability. So if you've got a casualty in front of you, you've got a quick reaction, handbook. Pull it out, boom, go to the cross. Here's your checklist. Victim care, temporary responsibility. Good place for notes if you're doing training, right? Or in real world, you've got a guide to help you out. Military talks about LZs. However, if you're sitting on the phone, this guide is formatted, so that when you're calling emergency services, you're going to need to format this within your mind, information they're going to need to know where you're at, how many people you got, what's your form of communication, because some people, you may have had to move, you were in a remote area to get a cell signal, and then your casualty's still at a remote location. So you got to make sure you establish a communication plan, post contact with the emergency services, because when they come out, they're going to need to contact you if they need to understand, how to get to you. Life-saving water. Show the conversion. Liters, you got everything you need here. Here's an example. A lot of the equipment I carry, I calculated. I want to know how much water I need. I need to estimate use per day based on the weather, terrain, so forth. And then I can calculate, and I've estimated and planned how much I can carry and how much water I need. So you can go through these here, and you can see the different kind of containers, different kind of materials, plastics, the variables about each kind of plastic. And we go into, like, for example, water assessment drills. Water's important, how to manage, how to acquire, where to get it. And you need to have containers to be able to hold it. You got to be able to have a method like tin, cookware, or whatever you've got, a little small pot or something. Survival still. I practiced that when I was traveling once in Greece and in other areas. We tried it when we were in the desert. Expendable information. I can't remember everything. Like, for example, this will help you out to understand what stars can help you orient at night. So I can have this book to refer to it. Native North American life knowledge skills, pioneering and indigenous skills.
Speaking of skills and abilities, this is a reminder that you are the most important asset in your survival. Assess your physical, mental, and spiritual condition. While you are still in the pre-disaster phase, get right and get ready. Because one disaster hits, your starting point is your fitness level. When you do experience a disaster, you'll be capable of handling induced trauma better. Now let's take a closer look at some more keys in the Gator learning system. Use this online learning system to help augment your initial planning and assessments. The SWAMP exercises, titled SWAMPexes, help you to front-load your knowledge as soon as possible. Remember, during a major disaster, Murphy's Law dictates you might not have online access when you need it. For example, be sure to acquire adequate knives, learn how to use them and the different parts. You may not be able to afford some of the best knives, but with proper evaluation you can ensure whatever you can afford, it meets some criteria. SWAMPX objectives: no one book can carry it all. The Gator publication series works to provide the best possible compacted data into the tangible, hands-on info you need in the field. In the Gator FERPS Workbook 1, there are several prearranged suggestions to conduct rapid learning. Next, I'll show some general overview of use of the TACSOP to improve your understanding of knives and other knowledge. A sharp functional knife is extremely important in the field. A sharp functional knife is extremely important in the field. Here the different types of edges are shown. There are flat, convex, double, hollow, saber, and chisel type edges. And each edge has a bevel, which is the angle of the blade edge. Look at your knife. Be sure to understand its characteristics. Many people do not. The more you know about your knife, the better. A heavy-duty knife, pocket knife, fillet knife. Depending upon the type of knife that you have, the lower the degree, the finer the blade. Heavy-duty knives, your blade's going to be higher angle. That dictates the angle you'll need to use to sharpen the knife. For pocket knives down to fillet knives, it's going to have a thinner base. In the diagram, you can see the different types of degrees from 10 to 30 degrees. So that indicates how you need to hold your knife when you're sharpening. The angle, the bevel on a knife, which means the narrower your angle is, the sharper the blade is going to be. Fillet knives cut easier, which is why it is a good knife for filleting fish and other finer tasks. Acquire good tools and kits. If you can't afford top-quality knives, be sure to use the criteria provided in the TACSOP to help make good choices. Displayed here is a knife set with a multipurpose sheath that also holds a flashlight and a smaller folding knife. This knife is not very expensive, which is a stamped lower-grade steel. The length is 12 centimeters, which may be important in some areas where there are length restrictions. It is important to understand each part of the knife and how it can be used. For example, the spine of the knife, which is useful to batten while making kindling, or the pommel, or the butt of the knife to hammer or pound something. I prefer to have knives that have a hole in the pommel so I can tie a lanyard to it to help ensure I do not lose my knife. As well as here, you want a knife that has the ability to secure it. I will create a separate class to demonstrate how to tie and create quick-release rigs to ensure you can tie this to your load-carrying equipment and not lose it. Have multi-purpose knives. The sheath has a separate pocket for this knife which has lock right. It has multi-purpose knife saw. I prefer knives that have lock blades so the blade does not retract back on my fingers. You don't want a knife bending back on you or a team member. Understand how to utilize the knives and how to handle knife properly so you don't cut yourself. This knife has multi-use. With pliers, screwdrivers, small saw, file, and bottle opener. It comes from Powaku. I think this knife was only $10. I purchased several of these so that if I lose them and/or they break, which I've already lost one, so I have backup. Also, when the big one hits, many people in your vicinity who did not prepare will be in need, and they are good bartering items. With multi-tool with pliers, all screwdrivers, etc., will help ensure you do not have to waste valuable time and energy trying to find tools to make it help you. So if I'm in the field, I got a quick knife with a lock blade as well, several quick saw, pliers, and tools to help. This knife does not have a pommel hole to secure a lanyard, therefore I must care not to lose it. Sometimes knives come with poor quality sheaths that are not durable, fall apart, and increase risk of loss. Bottom line. Be sure to learn and teach others how to operate any equipment you have prior to a disaster. A simple task when you are tired, such as chopping or cutting wood, can be an arduous and dangerous task for a small group member if they lack the technical and tactical skills. Increasing risk. Be sure to use the Gator tables to help sort through assessments when purchasing items. Conduct prudent tool to task and purpose assessments to determine what type of assets you want to procure. I have developed several checklists to assess tool characteristics, steel types, etc. You want to have each tool function type to make life easier. Think of the time and effort it took for the technological advancement which led slowly to the modern capabilities we have access to today. I grouped 10 functional areas in our survival operating systems. These SOS functions require certain assets to help maintain each, including cutting and work assets to help support sustainment, fix, maintain, protect, light, fuel, etc. Think of each of these areas, what equipment you have, and how you are going to maintain each. For example, you'll need certain tools to fix a light or tighten a screw on a heater. You need tools to cut and all purposes such as woodwork, utility, shaving, prep food, etc. Tools to dig, chop, batten, hammer, poke, awl, saw, carve, etc. And items to suspend, hang, hoist, string, lanyard, tie down, secure, cordon, trap, throw, and recover. Take time to practice swinging an axe and cutting things with your small group unit prior to a disaster. For example, be sure they know how to cut away from the body using a lock blade knife and all the safety precautions when cutting wood with an axe. Before we end this session, I want to take a moment to share some timely advice about oilskin tarps, canvas, and cloth treatments. I remember way back in the 70s, my dad had a canvas that was coated in oil and wax. It felt almost indestructible. Now, with the resurgence of survival preparedness, finding the perfect pound-for-pound asset is key. Next to a good knife, a treated oilskin is worth its weight in duck magic. What do I mean by that? Well, consider ducks floating in freezing water. How do they not freeze? It's their God-given design, a flawless layering of feathers, naturally infused with oils that repel water and preserve warmth. This perfect combination keeps heat in and cold out. You can replicate that same effect with a properly treated oilskin tarp. See the end result. It kept me warm in near 40-degree Fahrenheit weather.
I love these oilskins. This basically was I bought it at a flea market, big, huge, 25-meter square cloth, and I cut it up. I need to go still sew the ends. The fraying, I burned them off, but I gotta sew it, make seams. But if you're in a resident like apartment or it's more difficult, you don't have the space, I had a method I used which took a lot less, because some people have sheds, yards, situation where it's easy to make that kind of stuff. A lot of people don't have the storage. It's costly, but this cloth, they were selling it cheap. It only cost me like $20. And then I bought the oil, linseed oil, and mineral spirits. And I've got another separate thing I'll put online to show you. Made it. The one thing though, it took forever to dry. Since it was, it'll dry better in summer, but I did it in the winter, and it took almost the entire, the rest of the winter to dry out. And then you want to make sure to dry it out, because then you're going to get oil all over you. But this one is now completely dry, but this is not totally, but very weather, water resistant. Oh, it's just so warm. That's all I need. I carry it wrapped up in my
Creating an oilskin tarp using wool or any suitable piece of cloth requires a waterproofing process involving oil-based treatments. I've provided a step-by-step guide you can follow. Pause the video to take notes as needed. One key difference in my method is that I couldn't apply the mixture to a spread-out tarp using a brush. Instead of applying the oil directly to the cloth, I cut open a 5-liter oil bottle, placed the cloth inside, and soaked it in the mixture. This approach minimizes mess and is especially useful for those working in small apartments or limited spaces.
At this time, I will demonstrate a couple things. The Ranger sleeping roll, and then show and demonstrate how to do an oilskin. A method which is a little bit easier, doesn't require the brush on. I will take and show you and demonstrate how you can do that a little easier when you are space confined. All right, here's the Ranger roll. We have a mattress pad, light duty stakes, which I just got these. I like them better than the plastic or the other types, which are heavier and more bulkier. This tarp is pre-rigged with cord and
D-rings for easy setup, to set up protection from rain. I like to keep a little knife in my sleeping roll, so when you're laying there, you have some kind of a knife for utility. Here, as you sit down and you get ready to sleep, you want dry socks and a sleeping shirt. Here I have a baby sack, Gore-Tex material, which is very handy. It breathes well, but it repels also. Here's a fleece blanket, a piece of cloth, multi-purpose, and another piece of cloth, wool, that I purchased. Huge piece of cloth for about 20 bucks at a flea market. Cut it up in several pieces. I've already made one oilskin tarp that I used to rehearse and practice. And then now I'll demonstrate how I'm going to take this, and this today, put it in my container, and make a oilskin cloth out of these, which then will help provide water resistance. And then the oil, just like ducks and their feathers with oil, that helps provide insulation for the natural type. And seasonally dependent, head net, if it's summer, hide mosquitoes, and a net for sleeping. And then if it's cold, want to have this nice hat, let's say fur hat, that will help keep the head cold, or excuse me, head warm. And for your advice, Gator FERPS Handbook 3 has has good information about tarps and ponchos and so forth, stuff that you want to do and train and get ready. There's TACSOP 1 and 2. TACSOP 2 has the detailed checklist that you can use to help you procure what items you might want to get depending upon your method of madness. I used to like to go a lot more when I was younger, and I could handle loads into the mountains and camp for several days. Now I mainly do more day trips, because you compete with the family and nobody wants to go camping, as well as physical condition and so forth needs to get back up to snuff before I can consider carrying heavy loads into long distance, arduous trips. But we're going to get there. So without further ado, and of course this is all wrapped up, and then I use a Velcro strap to secure it all together. If you notice, this is a double Velcro strap too. I have a lot of Velcro straps I use, multi-purpose. All right, so at this time, I'm gonna move this here and here. Took a oil can, cut out the top, right? Still dirty from my last. And I don't want it. I'm gonna take my fleece blanket, put it in here. And I'm gonna take this cloth piece. We've got a sewing machine. I just got to get it functional. I need to sew these hems. You buy pieces of cloth. It's multi-purpose. When I weatherize it, and with the oilskin treatment, it'll make for a small little poncho, or you could use it for multi-purpose to throw it over your back when you're taking a break. You can throw it over your gear to keep it from getting wet, etc. All right. And then I think I'll wait on this because I don't have enough room. I'll do this separately. So anyway, you got to take the linseed oil. Okay, my weak hands. And I'm going to you want to use 1 for 1. So here we've got odorless mineral spirits. Right? This is the element that helps it dry, right? So I'm going to pour 1 for 1. And this amount right here, I don't have a glass. This is 1 quart. So this is about 1 quart here. I don't have to be that specific. The key is the mineral spirits help it to dry. Otherwise the oil will never dry. So I'm going to pour till about right there. And then I just let it soak down. All right. Let it soak in. I'm down to there. See my marking? It ain't got to be all fancy stuff. Okay, there we go. That's about a quart. So then I'm going to pour this in. All right, so that's equal parts. You have a stir stick that I'm going to push this down. And I'm going to allow this stuff to sit and soak so that it'll permeate, and I'll allow it to sit for several days. I don't want to have to rush, take it out now, and get everything all messy. I'll let it sit. It's totally, I'm doing this to help stir up, get the oil and the thinner mixed up, and get down into the fabric so it soaks entirely. It's the exact method I use for my other oilskin. Which this is something that I just learned. I saw it on a bushcraft video and figured, hey, let me try that. And I went to check pricing oilskin canvases and tarps, and they were quite expensive. By the way, a little trick. Here, a mix. I spray all my gear, my rucksack, using peppermint, some kind of a safe, chemical-free, either laundry liquid soap, clear, or this is a clear shampoo. Put this all in there, mix it up with water, and then outside I grow lavender and rosemary. I put that in there also. Okay, so then I take this. I'm going to let this soak for until, a day or two, until it looks like everything's all totally saturated. Then I'll take it out, and then I'll have to let it dry, hang. I have a shed outside, and have to make sure underneath I've got something placed to help protect. I have concrete that won't get all saturated from oil. Okay, I decided as it's soaked up to put that last claw piece in there, and I poured more, 1-to-1 portion of linseed oil and mineral spirits, and then getting it soaked up real good. Make sure it gets all the pieces. I know that coating stuff over the tarp, maybe it's a good idea. Coat the tarp with the linseed oil. Help it remain, add water resistance to it. So there, I'm gonna let that sit several days, and then, meanwhile, I'm gonna see my stuff. It'll help. I wonder if I could just thought of something. I could take linseed oil and coat my plastic mat and try a little conditioning. It's kind of like the principle of a saddle soap, which you definitely want to have in your household. Help weather resist. Put this over here. Now there's my oil cloth. See? Now that it's totally dry, now the oil doesn't get off on your. That's what the the mineral spirits are for. I'm just gonna try to test here. Because this spray, by the way, the spray was clogged here, but I went and just cleared out the nozzle. Was plugged. Right? Put a little of this mint on there, and I tell you what, bugs, they don't tick, especially they don't like mint. Right? And then so there I have some linseed oil and mineral spirits left over for my next job. A little bit at a time. Don't have that much space, which I'm sure most of the population out there, a lot of us, if you don't own a house, if you have a small residence, good advice for you.
Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed learning a few points about getting right and ready to withstand any disaster or emergency situation. I have a ton of topics scheduled to provide further classes. What we don't have a lot of is time. Time is critical, and it is not a matter if, but when the big one comes. Until then, we are at risk every day to failure in prudent preparation. Just driving to work with risks to breakdown, blizzard storms, severe weather anomalies, man-made catastrophes, and others. Be sure to shape real plans. Plan, prepare, lead, act. Go camping or at least on day trips to build your tactical proficiency, fitness, and endurance, mental, physical, and spiritual. Disasters come in all forms such as hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, floods, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, train accidents, chemical spills, nuclear, pandemics, wildfires, terrorism, violence, mass shootings, etc. Do not limit preparation. Never say never. And be ready for everything. Integrate emergency disaster planning everywhere you go and in everything you do, at home, on vacations, travel, and during mundane errands. No car should ever be without an emergency kit in the event of an individual mobile disaster. You will quickly find out how severe a situation can become in an emergency. For example, sudden flooding, blizzards, vehicle malfunction, road closures, and even running out of gas can lead to life-threatening situations. I hope you choose to purchase at minimum the Gator FERPS GFTACSOP1 and 2. They are not perfect, but they are extremely well fortified with critical info to help you in the field. I will continually provide periodic lessons, and you can use the note-taking spaces in your purchases to help the perpetual learning cycle. Further information is available at my Facebook, YouTube, and Substack forums. Simultaneously throughout all steps, consider reading the Armor of God Campaign Handbook. This handbook helps guide and keep notes comparative to current world affairs. Get fitted with the Revelation Vision goggles to see the signs of the times we are in. Check out my available services video. Tailor your publications purchases based on your need, desire, and budget. If you are interested in Christian-themed music, check out Spotify. Please consider supporting others in need. I have included in the comments a link for donation drive to support veterans and an orphanage in Uganda. God bless. Get right. Get ready. Look up in the sky. Jesus leads the way. Every day, all the way.
Are you the man that God's searching for? With a heart on fire, ready to restore? Does he have your picture on a wall that posted clear? For the ones who stand with courage, for the ones who persevere. He's looking for someone to stand in the gap, to see the oppressed and give them a map. The poor and the stranger, they need your grace. Are you willing to step up and take your place? Are you on God's most wanted list? You're searching high and low for the ones who won't quit.
I'm not doing these movies, if you call that. Sorry, my voice just anyway. I'm not looking for glory, because I realize as this ashes to ashes, dust to dust, as this body deteriorates, gone from here to here in my life, intelligence theoretically from here to here, understanding of the world and what's going on, gone from here to here. Stuff's happening. You cannot see the signs of the times. You're blinded. 2 Corinthians 2 Corinthians 4. Read it. The world that we're in, we're saturated in, we're assimilated in, has blinded people. Has indoctrinated everyone in the methodology. And I'm not understanding exactly why. However, God is giving us the knowledge now is coming. So your key is you need to listen to him. People are like, yeah, you're great. It's not, listening's not here. Listening's here, through here. God told us keep his word here and here. Right? Let it go in here. However, make sure that you understand, you look up, you pray, get ready, get right.
You didn't play the game. More than miracles in your name. out their lives, stood firm without restraints, to brave the storms and the strife, to stand on the wall defending true life. Can you hear the call to stand and defend? To be the watchman, to be a true friend. The saddest day would be standing alone before the Lord, unsure of your